Hello ladies and gentlemen, Xentori here and welcome back to another video. Now I hope all of you are doing well because I am as always, and in this video we'll be looking at some of the best fighter jets in infinite flight. Now this does not include stuff like the C-17 or these big planes which are mainly, we're on about just these tiny little jets, okay? So I've got a list of 4 and I'm going to rank them in order going from 4th to 1st, and the 4th is being obviously the worst. So we're going to start with that first, and that is the F-16. Now, the reason the F-16 is in last is because the next 3 are better than it. That's honestly honest opinion. But basically, the F-16 is slacking in quite a few things. I feel like it's a bit of an awkward plane to fly sometimes. But we'll give this plane a land, a takeoff, and we'll see how it works in infinite flight mobile flight simulator. So we are actually just spawned on the wrong way. But starting off, we should look at this cockpit. Unfortunately, this is not really a quality cockpit, but it's a cockpit. So that's something we're looking for. We're going to see these flaps as well. They come down alright, pretty slow, so that's alright. And the spoilers at the back here, you can see them in flight mode. And then fully armed, we don't see it fully armed. So we'll bring them down. And let's take off this aircraft and give it a bit of flight time, shall we? And just see what it's like. Now, this aircraft does have an autopilot, which, if I remember correctly, the F-18, which recently got updated, did not have one. So that's something I remember as well. So this aircraft here, the I always forget, we're in the F-16, is a decent aircraft, okay? It's a bit of an awkward one to fly, but it's generally people's go-to aircraft if they're doing an escort, especially back in the day with the older infinite flight. I remember the F-16 here being one of the go-to aircraft, so definitely one of the better aircraft to be using. Now you can see here that I'm flying it pretty well. The plane itself, it's going pretty fast, so it's you know, it's all looking relatively good. You can do a few spins, a few barrel rolls in it. Everything there looks good. So we'll pop into short final here at Heathrow, and we'll just see what it's like. So we're going to have to change our weight to like maximum weight, and hopefully we'll be able to get a good landing here. So the aircraft itself, it is very awkward. Jets in general are awkward to be landing in infinite flight. Oh my gosh, I just had to pause recording to sneeze. Oof. So, like I was saying, jets are very awkward to be landing in infinite flight, as you can see right here. So we'll go about 20 seconds and see what we can do. Now, I think this aircraft is just pretty hard in general to be getting a good landing on. You can see how bumpy it is, trying to get the speed up right, and just trying to sort everything out in general. We're literally, why are we nosediving? And then kabang. Okay, so that's, yeah, this aircraft is pretty much impossible to land. We'll give it one more attempt before going on takeoff to discuss a little bit more about the little F-16. Oh, are we going to do it? Oh, I thought we had it. Oh, I've given up. Take off. Right. Like I said, the aircraft here, I think it's a 4th place contender. It's definitely a great jet. Now, the jets in infinite flight are very good, but unfortunately, it's 4th place. Now, this leaves you thinking, what are the next 3 jets? Well, I can tell you, the next one is the Lockheed Martin F-22. Now, the F-22, I love this plane. I'm really sad it's not got a live cockpit, which is why it's in 3rd place. But it has a cockpit in infinite flight. You can see here that the cockpit is definitely better than the one in the F-16, which we just had out. But this plane, it just looks so cool. It's just, I think in general, in real life, it just looks a bit cooler than that other jet we have, the F-16. So we're going to take it out for a buzz, see how good it is. We are not even at full power yet, so we should probably bring it up. Now, it is worth noting, I'm pretty sure this plane flies a little bit slower than the F-16, which we had out a little minute ago. But in general, it's a really good aircraft. I find it much nicer and easier to fly at higher speeds. And generally, people use this aircraft for escorts as well. When you're escorting other aircraft or just trying to fly with them. You tend to see these buzzing around London Heathrow and casual server. London Heathrow has just sort of been my place of videos recently, so it's quite a cool airport. So you can just tell that in general, it's a nice aircraft to be flying. You can see here we're at 500 odd knots. We're not even at full throttle. If we bring it up to full throttle, we'll see how nice this aircraft is actually to fly in general. You can see we're not actually having much control. I have quite a lot of control over the aircraft here. Still, we're at about 700 and there we go, 800. So we are still flying this very nicely, very smoothly, without a single issue at hand. So it's quite a nice aircraft to be flying. No issue keeping it steady or anything. So you can tell just by that how much of a nice aircraft this is to actually fly in, and hopefully we I mean, at 10,000 feet, you'd hope we'd have enough altitude to do a loop-de-loop. Nope. Okay. And now we're at some grass airport. That is not what happened. I am surprised we could not do that loop-de-loop. I thought at 10,000 feet it'd be doable. Apparently not. Apparently not. So here we are. We're going to attempt a landing then. We'll see. That definitely wasn't meant to happen, was it? So it looks like a pain to land. So maybe we're definitely not too heavy. So we're going short final. Right, there we go. Ooh. Perhaps it's like calibration. Yeah, it's definitely a calibration. I think that there we are. Right, let's try and get up to a nicer speed here. Now we are trying to land, not like kill anything. But we've done better than we did with the last aircraft. Okay, so we did do that with the last aircraft. It's alright, we've got this. There we go. So you can tell we've managed to get it on the ground, and we've managed to do our duty and land the F-22. Now there is no spoilers on this aircraft, but there is an autopilot, however, which is, you know, a good feature to always have in a jet, especially if you're trying to do some escorts. So you can copy other people's flight plan. But I think in general, the F-22 is a class aircraft, and it's definitely deserves a place on this list. Now, the next one is the A-10. I love this plane. Unfortunately, it's not. It's more of an. I think it's an air-to-ground fighter. So it's not really a very fast plane, but it's a really good plane. It's definitely a great one. So we'll just have a look first. First of all, it's effectively got a live cockpit. It was one of the first live cockpits we got here in Infinite Flight, but this cockpit is almost miles better than the one we had on the F-22 and F-16. But we'll get this ball rolling. We'll see how good this plane is in the air. But it's definitely much slower because I've flown it previously. But I think it's a fun plane. If you're ever a bit bored in Infinite Flight and you want to go somewhere like the Grand Canyon and mess about, this is probably a good aircraft to take, because not only is it slow, it's relatively agile, but it will definitely be a hard mission trying to fly through that Grand Canyon in this big bad boy. So I think this aircraft is a really cool looking aircraft. Like you see here, we'll go in the cockpit, so you can see here that the dials in the cockpit are indeed all moving. So we have to pull up a bit. Even I think these things move, like the temperatures and all of these, like the RPM, the engines. So quite a few of these will move. You've got the fuel thing there. No idea if that moves. I've just realised we're plummeting to the ground. Does the gear thing work? Yeah, you've got the moving gear stick. So we pretty much have a live cockpit in this aircraft. Like I said, it doesn't fly that fast. We're only at 200 and something knots. So it is quite a slow boy. But for a plane at this speed, it's relatively agile, like I was saying. So we're going to have a short final, and we are going to try our best to get a smooth landing. For an aircraft which doesn't fly that fast, it should be much easier, because the aircraft is definitely a bit more stable in landing than the other two jets we had, but we are a little bit too high. But that's alright, we'll miss the landing zone for this video. Are we going to be able to do it? Come on, nice and smooth, please. Oh, okay. Okay, so jets in general, you guys have already seen today. I'm not very good at landing them, but I think this aircraft is good. We've got the spoilers and everything. I think it's definitely the second. Oh, I dropped my iPad. It's definitely the second best jet in Infinite Flight in comparison to them all, and we've just made an absolute mess of it. Yeah, 180. I'd like to see people try that. Look at that. It just looks really cool. It's a great aircraft in Infinite Flight, and it's definitely the second best jet. I know people might disagree, but it's still a fighter jet in my eyes. So we're going to move on to the final aircraft. And I don't even need to waste any words. You people will all know what aircraft it is. It's obviously this one. We're going to take the Maverick livery, because Top Gun Maverick is a great film. I don't know if it's as good as the first Top Gun, but that's just my opinion. I'd like to see what people think about that. But we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. So we're going to go to short final here. And the first thing we're doing is landing it for some reason. I have no idea why. I sort of went into autopilot mode. It's definitely, you can tell here actually. So this aircraft is literally reworked. Maybe a month or two ago it came out, reworked. So it's definitely new. And you can just tell that the aircraft itself, you can just tell by the way the physics are handling it at landing, how much better it is than it used to be. And I think that is the smoothest landing I might have ever had in a fighter jet there. I'm going to have to watch that in replay in just a quick second, but this is a great aircraft. We got the spoilers coming out and everything. We'll just look at the cockpit in general. You can tell how great it is. It's a fully live 3D working cockpit. So we're just going to takeoff mode, and I'll show you guys how this cockpit works. going to bring our flaps onto half as well for takeoff. But that's literally our HUD thing on the left here. We've got all these random buttons. No idea what they do. I don't really know fully how this cockpit works, but you can see up here we got a speed dial and everything. Our gears coming out. We're going to unarm the spoilers and bring those flaps up to half. We got the guns. Apparently we've got guns, but I don't see any bullets in the chambers, so we can't actually shoot anyone, unfortunately, as much as some of you'd like to. But there are also no missiles on the aircraft, which I thought I saw in some of the development work that I saw coming from the infinite flight. But this aircraft is much more stable at higher speeds than the other aircraft we were looking at earlier as well. Definitely more stable than the F-22, I think. The A-10 was probably less stable than both of these aircraft. But I think this is definitely by far the best fighter jet in infinite flight. You can see the gear thing coming down for us there. The flaps, I don't know where the flaps are controlled from in this aircraft, so I can't really see anything moving. But in general, this is a great aircraft. We have the afterburner on as well. If I turn time to nighttime or even sunrise, you'll be able to see it. That is the afterburner there popping out of this plane. Not all of the aircraft have an afterburner. This one definitely has. So this is definitely a great aircraft in infinite flight. So we're just going to sit on some runway. Are we on a, I don't even know where we are now. Obviously not at Heathrow. Yeah, so we're in a tiny runway. We can definitely take off from short distances, as you're all about to see actually, for fun. You don't really need a massive runway to take off with this aircraft. You do need a STOL aircraft for short takeoff and landing, but of course we've done it there using that tiny runway. We definitely can't land on it though, so we'll just chill at takeoff. So if you guys agree with me with this top 4 list of best fighter jets in infinite flight, let me know down below. But other than that, I'll see you all in my next video. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Good night.
Find your